The following program is paid for by DeFalco Advertising and does not represent views and opinions of WCGV.
The flags in Canada are all at half-mast today.
Norm McDonald passed away. More than anyone, like his wit and his intelligence was just, it was the top of the class. Like, you know, things that just I had forgotten about him, like when he went on Celebrity Millionaire and got all the way to the $1 million question. I mean, he was so intelligent, and there's just no one else like him.
As he would say, he had no formal education and no informal education. Today we are looking at Dirty Work from 1998.
Directed by Bob Saget. Well, it was really Norm's only vehicle, you know, and in that sense, I mean, it was the only time that Norm got a chance to try and be Norm in a movie. Like, this is Norm's movie. There's no question about it. Like, Norm is the lead star. He is the main character. Like, Artie Lang is in it quite a bit, but we never mistake Artie Lang for the main character of this film. Like, from what I understand about the research I've done, like the script that he wrote alongside his co-writers, I think they were like SNL veterans, but it was like an R-rated over the top script, and that's why they got like all of these like big stars to sign on to do like little bit roles in it, like Chevy Chase. And once the film was done being shot, like the studio just took over and decided to make it a PG-13 film because they didn't think that R-rated films or R-rated comedies would sell at that point.
The story of Dirty Work is essentially the story of two friends growing up and not taking crap from no one. That seems to be the thing they keep repeating over and over again. They need to get $50,000, you see, to pay, and this is where Norm is just like so hilariously over the gambling debts of a doctor who will put him at the front of the line. And we see this Dr. Chevy Chase, and every time we see him, he's like got something else wrong with him. He's continuously getting in more and more trouble. And so they have to get $50,000. How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to resort to the only way they know how, and that is through getting back at people.
Like, if we're going to just come out and say it and like be open with it, like, this movie is not good. Norm is also not a good actor in the way that Jerry Seinfeld is not a good actor. Like, this film doesn't work in its mechanics and its roles and its characters. The female character is completely redundant. She doesn't need to be there in really any shape or form, other than that, like, plot makes her there necessarily. It
seems like the movie is literally just like a Saturday Night Live sketch. One little Saturday Night Live sketch after the next, after the next, after the next, and they kind of fit together.
Very loosely and poorly.
I mean, how much of that was ad-lib, do you think, the Chris Farley deal? Because at the end they show kind of these outtakes, and I just wasn't
outtakes,
and they're so bad.
Terrible outtakes. By all accounts, the film had, like I said, an R-rated script, so they probably shot the film R-rated. Like, Bob Saget is a notoriously dirty-minded comedian. Like, I can't imagine he shot this movie without cocks being said like constantly. I think this was Chris Farley's best film performance.
How long do you think he's actually in this movie for?
7 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Less, maybe.
I would say probably less than 5 minutes, really. He is the highlight of the film. In every part of the film he is in, and he makes me laugh every single time. And his energy that he brings to the movie is so necessary because there's no energy from Norm McDonald at all. He plays it all down the middle. You could watch an interview, with him just basically talking, taking over the interview, and it's funnier than anything in the movie. And so why why weren't they able to get it on screen? Just because they got it butchered by the studio?
I think the other thing with Norm is, like, to really appreciate him, you have to have him in this like live type setting where you know that everything he's saying is coming out of his mouth like right in front of you right now as it's happening. Like, it's not something that he is completely pre-planned and has written down, like, and, you know, studied the lines for and studied every moment for, and he's not having other people dictate every other moment for him, like, say, a director or something. Like, Norm is just best when he is completely and utterly himself, because there's no one else like him. When Norm tries to be a movie star, like, anyone could be a movie star. Like, lots of people could be a movie star. No one else could be Norm. Like, only Norm could be Norm. So in 2018, he was asked about it, and he said that it was an R-rated movie, so we made it that way. Then the studio made it PG-13, so half the movie had to be cut. So it's hard for me to see it objectively. There might be another one coming now. So, okay, that's the other thing. Like, right before his death, they started talking about possibly doing Dirty Work too. Bob Saget, along with Norm and even Artie Lang, apparently. Like my theory about this film is that because it came out in 1998, which is like 2 years after Happy Gilmore came out, and this film literally recycles the main villain of Happy Gilmore, the actor, and Christopher McDonald. And
yeah, but are these the only two movies he plays a villain though?
And then they take the female character and they very clearly give her the same haircut as from like the female character in Happy Gilmore. And then they take Norm McDonald, like the Adam Sandler stand-in, and they dress him like completely in plaid and baggy clothes, just like Adam Sandler dressed in Happy Gilmore. And then it revolves around an old grandmother and trying to get like help for like her and saving a building by doing something, you know, like that.
You have such a indifferent kind of man like Norm McDonald. It's just hard to create that urgency and that
on a film screen. Yeah, definitely. Like he can't fill it. Like I mean, a television screen is one thing, but a film screen is another. Even though you're probably watching this on a television screen, but it's different when you're watching a movie. You expect different things from actors, and like Norm just isn't capable of doing that in a big film. Like he's not a movie star. He's not an actor really. He's a comedian.
There's a couple things that I don't think work with the movie, and it comes down to basically Norm McDonald being who he is. And I think it's really two things. Number one, when Norm's telling a joke and he's delivering it, he's in total control of every aspect of the joke, and because of his brilliance, he's able to pull off in just the best way. When other people are required to do that joke, they simply aren't in tune enough.
They dilute it. Like
it just doesn't become, yeah, even though word for word they might be saying everything they're supposed to and everything, there's a poetry to his cadence that is so funny.
The best thing you can do in terms of helping Norm, in terms of jokes, is being the audience to react. Like the best part of listening to some of his jokes or watching Conan O'Brien just like be aghast. And in a way, maybe, as much as I hate to say this, his passing right now is a blessing, because maybe like 10 to 15 years from now, he was going to say something that would have just like, no one would have been able to forgive in the ever increasing like cancel culture that we live in. And then we would have had to look at Norm through the lens that we now look at somebody like Woody Allen and be like, well, we don't care anymore. We just don't care.
Well, I guess it would have to depend on whether or not Norm fucks his daughter. All right, see you guys later. Bye.
Hey, that's pretty good.